Alright everyone, it's a super beautiful neighborhood and I can see very beautiful mansions, and this is Uthiru, but quite unfortunate this is not our destination today. We are going to the neighboring village by the name Kinoo, a pretty popular one on the highway. We are going to get there in a few, but I want to show you something real quick before we get there. Right ahead there is a very small parcel of land with more than 50 churches and nothing else. Can you imagine? Well, you see that small settlement across the road? All those are churches, all those buildings. Well, I don't know how that came to be. Maybe the locals can tell us. But funny enough, most of them worships on Sundays, and I can only imagine how they coexist. Anyway, that was just a by the way, and I'm making my way out of the town, that is Uthiru, and I'm going to our destination, which is Kinoo. They are neighboring towns along this Nairobi-Malaba highway, and it is good to remind you that it goes all the way to Uganda and other East African countries. I'll be getting to Kinoo in a few minutes. I don't see any need to show you around Uthiru. In fact, I have a video about this neighborhood. You can go and check it on this channel. But let me give you a few details about Uthiru pretty fast so that you'll be in the know. And this is in Nairobi County. The border between Nairobi and Kiambu, it's around here. And Uthiru has a population of 33,948, where 16,506 are men and 17,348 are women. While in terms of the population density, there are 10,142 people living in a square kilometer in Uthiru. It is a pretty decent neighborhood with a lot of schools, especially tertiary learning institutions. Nairobi University has a campus here, and there's a college. I can't remember the name, but I think it is Kabete National Polytechnic. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on that. That's a story for another day. I told you I have a video dedicated for Uthiru. And just like that, I'm told that we are already in Kinoo. So let's explore the hood. That was a garbage truck. I want to leave the highway and go a bit interior. We want to see how people live here, the conditions of the road. Does the estate have infrastructure? And remember, this is an interesting one. I will tell you why Kinoo attracts a lot of graduates, especially from Nairobi University. So stick around until the end, and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Village to Town TV, a channel that is dedicated to continue showcasing beautiful villages, towns, and cities across the continent of Africa. I can see the beautiful Gong Hills on the background. I don't know whether you can see it. Quite a scenic view. It's a beautiful evening. And I'm told that the hills are in Kajiado. In fact, Ngong Town is just at the foothill. In fact, you can see some buildings in the town from here if you are a good observant. But today I'll be turning right because I want to explore Kinoo town. That's my goal today. But if I continued that way, the road I just left, I could have ended up in the Gureti market, which is not far from here, about 3 to 4 kilometers. And from there you can proceed to Karen and Gong towns. Anyway, it seems like this is the ugly side of Kinoo, and the road is not pretty nice. In fact, the tarmac has just come to an end. It is a rough road, but the journey continues. I want to go to the other side of the town and I'm sure this road will take me there. In fact, I'm sure it will lead me to the town center, that is Kinoo town center. And I'm not sure whether you realize that the bridge ahead is the highway that we just left, the Nairobi-Uganda highway, known as the Great North Road. And it stretches from South Africa all the way to Egypt, I'm told. And I can see a guy who has just parked his car and he is relieving himself. I think that is one of the major advantages of being a male. You can empty your bladder just anywhere without being judged harshly. You can imagine if that was a woman, how harshly the society could have judged her. Anyway, it is a super cold world, so they say, quite unfair. But we soldier on. The road is still ugly, and the shopping center is just around the corner. And I'm told that Kinoo is in Kiambu County. Remember the last town we left, that is a few minutes ago, which was Uthiru, is in Nairobi County. I told you that the boundary is just around here, and Kinoo is just in Kikuyu constituency, which is one of the 12 constituencies in Kiambu County. And the member of parliament for this area is one Kimani Ichung'wah, who is the current leader of majority in the Kenyan parliament. Kinoo, it's quite a big area with 2 sub-locations. One goes by the name Muthiga, and the other one is Kinoo. Muthiga area is a few meters from here. As you go towards Kikuyu, well, I can see the small town. It is quite decent. But I think the major problem is this road. Well, Kinoo has a total population of 46,700 people, where 22,904 are males, while 25,784 are women. In terms of the population density, 6,507 people live in a square kilometer, and the total area is 7.2 kilometers squared. But remember, that is the total population for the entire location. I want to give you the numbers for this small sublocation of Kinoo, which is this area, and I want you to note the population density, the difference between the small area and the bigger area. And you will notice that Muthiga is a bit rural. It's sparsely populated with a population density of 4,547 people living in a square kilometer in an area of 4.3 kilometers squared. But Kinoo, which is this area, it's quite densely populated with a population density of 10,147 people living in a square kilometer and an area of 2.9 kilometers squared. That is according to the Kenyan Bureau of Statistics. And as you can see, I'm back to the highway. I want to go all the way to Westlands as we explore these neighborhoods. In fact, we're going to pass through some interesting neighborhoods, such as Kangemi. So make sure you watch until the end. And remember, I told you that Kinoo attracts a lot of graduates, especially from the famous Nairobi University. Other colleges and universities across Nairobi are also well represented here. And I feel like this results from the fact that most youths, especially those who are starting life in Nairobi, find Kinoo to be quite affordable, especially if you want to live in a decent house and maybe you have a decent job, an entry-level job, and although it may not be paying quite well, you can afford a nice bed-sitter or a studio apartment right here. And as they advance in their career ladder, they can afford a 1-bedroom and later a 2-bedroom apartment. And that makes Kinoo one of the most sought after neighborhoods here in Nairobi. Well, to get a nice studio apartment, for those who are interested in renting here, you need between 8,000 and 12,000 Kenya shillings, depending on its location and the condition of the apartment. And to get a one-bedroom apartment in Kinoo, you will need between 11,000 and 15,000, while a two-bedroom apartment goes between 16,000 and 25,000. Well, that is in Kenyan shillings. And if you are an investor and you are interested in buying land, either to build your home or an apartment, a 50 by 100, that's an eighth of an acre, fetch between 5 million and 10 million Kenyan shillings. That is depending on its location. For instance, if you want one that is next to the highway, you need to have some deeper pockets. Anyway, we have just gotten back to Uthiru area. And if your memory serves you right, I was standing right on that bridge, which is right in front of me. And so in a few seconds, I'll be able to show you the churches that I showed you earlier, since they are on this side. Although I'll not be stopping, since this is a highway, I'll show you real quick. We are about to get there. You can see on my left, all these buildings that are made of iron sheets, they are churches. Each building representing a different denomination. And as I told you earlier, they all coexist. And I think I need to come here on a Sunday and see how they do it. I'm not quite sure whether they use sound systems, since that will inconvenience each other. Or how do they worship? Remember, these are iron sheet buildings. And I'm pretty sure you can be listening to the sermon in your church, while in the church next door, the praise and worship team is doing their thing. Well, that's some confusing stuff right there. And if you happen to worship in one of those churches, kindly tell us on the comment section below how you have managed to coexist for all those years. How you people do it, and we will appreciate. Anyway, we are approaching Kangemi neighborhood. In fact, the tall buildings you see right in front, they are in the town of Kangemi, a popular neighborhood here in Nairobi. In fact, it is home to one of the tallest Kenyan, the giant, and goes by the name Bradley. I have not met him in person, but he's been trending for the last few weeks. Anyway, before we get to Kangemi, I want to give you some few data about Kikuyu constituency, which is home to Kinoo. Remember, that was our today's destination. There are some interesting statistics about Kikuyu. And remember, Kikuyu has a total population of 187,122 people. That is as of 2022. That was a significant increase from 125,402 in 2009. And the constituency has a population density of 1,082 people living in a square kilometer. And that tells you that most of it is rural. But of course, it has a lot of urban centers, including Kinoo and the Kikuyu town. In fact, that reminds me that I once did a video about Kikuyu town. You can go and check it after watching this video. It is definitely on this channel. Well, the area's population is also expected to grow, as it is increasing at a rate of 4.1% per annum. In terms of the gender distribution, 51.4% of the population are females, while 48.6% are males. You can see that the number of females is a bit high. In fact, the actual number is 6,000 more females than men. In terms of the intersex, there are only 5 in the entire constituency, while in terms of the age distribution, out of the 187,000 people living in Kikuyu constituency, only 6,636 are aged 65 and above. That makes about 3.6% of the population, which is quite a small number, and confirms our fear that the city is not friendly to the old-timers. Anyway, I can see we are approaching Kangemi. You can see that these neighborhoods are next to each other. That is Kangemi, Uthiru, and Kinoo. Well, Kangemi is a low-income neighborhood that has a total population of 116,000 people, where 59,520 are men, while 57,186 are women. And in terms of the population density, there are 25,324 people living in a square kilometer. I hope you have noted the 25,000 in a square kilometer. That's quite crazy. And remember, a square kilometer, it's only 250 acres of land, while the entire area is only 4.6 kilometers squared. Anyway, Kangemi, it's in Westlands constituency, which is one of the 17 constituencies in Nairobi County. And I'm also reminded that we did a comprehensive video on Kangemi, where we crisscrossed the entire village. In fact, it is the only village where I've done 2 videos, part 1 and part 2, where we showcased almost every part of Kangemi. Anyway, on my left, I can see the Kenyan Communication Authority, which is the authority running all the communications in the country. That include radio stations, television, name them. And next to it, it's the famous Nairobi School, which is a high school, which I'm told that it is the biggest in the country in terms of the land mass. Anyway, let me leave you at that, and please make sure you watch until the end. We are going to branch off from the highway a few meters ahead and go toward Limuru Road. But in the meantime, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Village to Town TV, a channel that is dedicated to continue showcasing beautiful villages, towns, and cities across the globe. Also, make sure you give the video a like so that it can be recommended to as many people as possible, and smash the notification bell so that every time we post, you'll be among the first few people to be notified. Also, special thanks to Team Village to Town TV, those who watch and like every video. Thank you. There is also another lot that sends us all form of support through my mobile number. Thank you, and may the Almighty bless you. Thank you.